actions that have been taken by the Trump administration. They're damaging United States security. Crucial to our success were contributions from Russia in the depths of the Cold War. I'm very impressed by what has happened in China. Working with Christopher Nolan is one of the most interesting experiences of my life. In which we spent 50 years. We spent $1 billion US. The biggest challenge is deciding what issues really need to be dealt with and what issues can be set to the side.
Thank you, Mr. Thorne, for taking this time to do the interview with us. So we know that you spent nearly 50 times on the research of LIGO before the big discovery. So nowadays, how significant do you think fundamental research is for our society?
Fundamental physics, or fundamental science, really is central to modern civilization. The fundamental research underlies all the technology that has made Dubai possible and that makes life so good and such big improvements in China in recent decades.
And what do you think is the biggest challenge for scientists and scientific research today?
Let me ask you, what is the biggest challenge in what way? So I'm writing a history at the present time together with 5 colleagues of the LIGO project, which is the project on which we spent 50 years. We spent $1 billion US. We had a collaboration of 1,000 people. It had challenges that were technical, very difficult technical challenges, political challenges, sociological challenges. It was a very high risk, high potential payoff project that did succeed. But the challenges were in basically all aspects of it. And I think in some sense, the biggest challenge is deciding what issues really need to be dealt with and what issues can be set to the side, what combinations of issues are most likely to cause failure. And so they are the ones that you work. So in big science like this, what this is, it is a judgment call as to which challenges do you work and which can you set aside. That's a different answer than you expected, but that's how you make a decision about what challenges you deal with.
And the big science you talked about, we know that the project involved thousands of scientists from different countries. But with the geopolitical tension rising these days, do you think this kind of collaboration is still possible?
Let me give you an example. Crucial to our success were contributions from Russia in the depths of the Cold War. I built a collaboration across the Iron Curtain with Vladimir Braginsky, a superb experimental physicist whose contributions were essential. Without him, we never would have succeeded. And theorist Yakov Borisovich Zildovich, a Russian who was one of the fathers of the Russian hydrogen bomb and moved into astrophysics afterwards. And through the entire period from when I began working with them in 1967, up through the collapse of the Soviet Union, there were big obstacles, but we surmounted them, and we were able to collaborate in very successful ways. And I think that, I believe that will continue. I think that the World Laureates Association promotes the continuation of this with China, and I think it's essential. It's essential not just for the success of the science, because the people in different countries, people bring different points of view, and there are superb scientists on both sides of the battle line. And if they can communicate the science benefits, but also the society benefit just from that communication between the scientists, which helps the two societies in some sense maintain some equilibrium in terms of some sense of what's going on the other side. So we did this very successfully through the Cold War, and I don't see any reason why we cannot continue to do that in the present situation.
And speaking of China, we know that recent years China has put a lot of resources and efforts into fundamental research. Now, how do you see the development of fundamental research in China?
I'm very impressed by what has happened in China. In the 1970s and 80s, there was nothing coming out of China that was of any interest to me in my fields of research. When I retired, the professor who replaced me, Yanbei Chen, was from Beijing. He's my successor. And so that says everything, that Caltech, which is a leading institution in the world, replacing me, who do we choose? We choose somebody from China. That I would not have believed that was what would have happened in the 1980s, but when I retired in 2009, that's what we chose.
But do you think this kind of succession is still possible, considering President Trump's policies on STEM?
I am very hopeful that the Trump administration and the difficulties that it presents is temporary. It is clear that the actions that have been taken by the Trump administration, many of the actions are counterproductive for the United States. They're damaging United States security. And so just from the point of view of our security as a nation, it's a disaster, the Trump administration. But I do believe it's temporary. I see strong signs that sensible Republicans, particularly in the Senate, are beginning to stand up to Trump. And so I think it's a period we have to get through, but I'm very hopeful we'll come out the other side, and it will be able to behave in the United States in a more rational fashion.
And the next topic I want to discuss with you is AI. We know that has been a top topic in this summit, and a lot of scientists seem to think that there is limitation with the application of AI. So what do you think? What kind of role is AI playing in fundamental research?
Well, it's playing a very important role as a tool. I don't know what the limitations are. I have not studied and worked with AI well enough to have an independent opinion. But I can see that it's a very powerful tool, and that it's certainly going to continue to be that.
The last question, if you're saying to the next generation scientists in the era of AI, what do you think is the most important quality that a scientist should have in these days?
I don't know how AI, because I don't understand AI well enough, I don't know how that has changed. But I think that that's the wrong question in this sense. That success of the scientific enterprise requires a large number of people with very different points of view, very different approaches, and very different qualities. And there is no most important quality. There is a combination of qualities from a variety of different people who come together in a collaboration. And it's the important thing is to understand how to put together a collaboration with people with different qualities, that as a group, they can be very powerful in dealing with science.
And lastly, I want to ask you about your collaboration with the movie Interstellar. Now, would you encourage scientists to do more work like this to help the public to understand and support science?
Oh, I think this is very important. And I certainly do encourage scientists to communicate with the public through whatever means they have. And film is a very powerful means. It was also a joyful experience. Working with Christopher Nolan is one of the most interesting and enjoyable experiences of my life.
Thank you, Professor Thorne. This is all of our questions today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.